Imagine darkness. Not the kind you get when you just turn off the bedroom lights or close your eyes for a second. I mean, infinite crushing, sensory deprivation darkness.
Right, the kind that just swallows you whole.
Exactly. You are floating in a wooden skiff. It's maybe 6 feet long, effectively a coffin, in the middle of a pitch-black ocean. The sky above is moonless, a perfect mirror of the abyss below.
And you have no oars, you have no food.
None.
Yeah.
Your hands are bound with coarse rope that is actively eating into your wrists. And just to add a little insult to injury, you are wearing a heavy, waterlogged green dress that is actively trying to drag you to the bottom of the sea.
Oh, and there is a hole in the boat. The water is rising, is cold, it's salty, and it is licking at your boots. Now, in this moment, the average human brain shuts down. Panic takes the wheel.
The lizard brain just screams that it's over.
But we aren't inside the head of an average human right now. We're inside the head of Lila Bard. And her internal monologue isn't a prayer for salvation. It is a resume.
It's defiance in its absolute purest form. Panic is crawling up her throat, absolutely, but she swallows it whole. She thinks, I am Lila Bard. I am a thief and a pirate and a traveler. I am one of a damned kind.
That specific mantra is the key to unlocking this entire deep dive. Because what we are looking at today isn't just a survival story. Survival is, well, it's passive. Survival is treading water and hoping the sharks don't notice you.
Right.
This is a story about the difference between surviving and living.
It asks a terrifying question right out of the gate. Are you truly alive if you aren't risking everything? If you are entirely safe, are you just stagnant?
Welcome to our deep dive into A Gathering of Shadows, the second book in the Shades of Magic series by V.E. Schwab.
Today, our mission is to track 3 colliding trajectories. We have a thief seeking power at any cost, a prince trapped by the very love that saved him, and a dead king bargaining for a second chance at life.
All converging on a magical tournament called the Essentage. But as we're going to see, the games are really just a shiny distraction from a much darker, encroaching threat.
So let's pick up exactly where we left off. 4 months have passed since the events of the first book. Lila Bard is adrift. She walked away from Kell, away from the safety of the royal palace in Red London to see the world. And currently, the world is trying its very best to kill her.
To be fair, she practically invited it. She's been sailing on a stolen ship, the Golden Fish, for months. But the text gives us this crucial insight. She got bored.
And Lila Bard does not do well with boredom.
Not at all. She let her guard down, she got sloppy, and she was captured by the crew of the Copper Thief. They took her ship, her prize, and left her in this dinghy to die. But what is fascinating here is the specific way she handles this crisis. It's not just bravery, it's a level of calculation that borders on sociopathic.
I love the detail about the flares. She has these alchemical flares in her pocket. She has a yellow one for sinking, a white one for general distress, and a red one for pirates. She burns through the yellow and white and nothing happens. The water is at her knees, the void is closing in. And then she makes this insane choice.
She lights the red flare.
The pirate flare.
She summons the predators back. Think about the psychology of that decision. She realizes she cannot survive the elements alone. The ocean is too big and she's too small. So she decides that her odds are better if she tricks the murderers who put her there in the first place.
It's a gamble of absolute insanity. She is betting her life that she is smarter than they are violent.
And it is classic Lila. When the pirate captain, Belize Kaznov, who is described as looking like a skeleton with deep-set eyes, a truly nasty piece of work, looks down at her from his ship, she doesn't beg.
Well, she acts like she's begging. She spins this lie that she's a noble woman with a ransom waiting. She plays to their greed because she knows she can't play to their mercy.
Which creates a brilliant tension in the opening chapter. Physically, she is helpless, bound, sinking, freezing. Psychologically, she is the dominant force in the scene. She maneuvers them into hauling her aboard, and the moment she is left alone in the captain's cabin, the mask drops, literally and figuratively.
She rips off that ridiculous green dress, reveals her thief's gear underneath, cuts her bonds, and puts on this terrifying horned mask she calls the Sorrows.
The Sorrows is such a great piece of world building. It's a sea legend, a demon of the Arnesian seas. It's a ghost story sailors tell to scare each other.
And Lila knows she can't fight 20 armed men in a fair fight. So she ensures the fight is never fair. She uses theatricality, she uses fear, she becomes the monster in the dark.
It establishes right away that Lila isn't just a fighter, she is a performer. She understands the power of a symbol.
She takes out the captain and the crew using shadows and smoke and fear, not just brute force, But this sequence is really just the warm-up act for the most important new relationship in the book. We need to talk about the man who eventually picks her up, Captain Alucard Emery.
Alucard is a fantastic addition to the cast. He's the captain of the Night Spire. He's a privateer, a magician, and a noble in exile from Red London. And he's the perfect foil for Lila because he's the only person who seems to see right through her nonsense.
Their dynamic is electric. It's cat and mouse, but you're never quite sure who is the cat. Lila is working on his ship, trying to keep her head down, but Alucard keeps poking at her. There's this scene where they're drinking, and he's trying to figure out who she really is. He asks, "Who are you?" And she gives him the standard, "I am Bard" line. But he knows she's lying about her background.
He knows because he's observant. He notices she doesn't walk like a commoner, but she doesn't speak like a noble. But the real secret she's hiding isn't her lineage, it's her magic.
This is the core of Lila's arc in this book. In the first book, we had hints she might be Antari Estar. She could use the Black Stone, which should be impossible for a normal person. Now she's actively trying to learn how to use magic intentionally, and honestly, she's terrible at it.
She is so bad. She's trying to brute force it. She treats magic like a lock she can pick or a throat she can slit. She's gripping it too tight. She's sweating, straining, trying to force a candle to light.
This is where the magic system of the series really gets fleshed out. Alucard becomes her reluctant mentor. He explains that she's trying to command the elements. He tells her magic isn't a demand, it's a conversation.
He says you're seizing a thing when you need only cradle it.
Which is advice Lila hates. She hates asking for things. She hates relying on anything other than her own will. If magic is a conversation, Lila is the person shouting orders through a megaphone.
But then we get the breakthrough. The scene with the fire in her cabin.
It's a pivotal moment. She's frustrated, alone in the dark. She starts reciting poetry, tiger, tiger, burning bright, trying to focus her mind, and suddenly she stops trying to force the fire and starts trying to be the fire.
She realizes her own nature is volatile, dangerous, hungry, just like the flame.
She coats her knives in fire, and she thinks, what am I? One of a kind. It's this moment of supreme arrogance, but also deep self-discovery. She realizes she can do what Kell can do. She is Antari, or something very, very close to it.
It changes everything. She isn't just a thief surviving in a magical world anymore. She is a player in that world. She has stepped up a weight class.
But while Lila is out there discovering her power on the high seas, we really need to shift our gaze back to Red London. Because while Lila is finding freedom, our old friends Kell and Rye are discovering that power can be its own kind of prison.
Yeah, let's check in on the Mresh brothers, the Antari and the Prince. 4 months have passed since they defeated the Danes, but things are, well, complicated.
Complicated is putting it mildly. They are living a nightmare of codependency. Remember, to save Rye's life in the previous book, Kell tied his life force to Rye's. He effectively stapled their souls together.
And the text gives us such visceral detail on what this feels like. It isn't just a simple if you die, I die situation. It is constant invasive feedback.
Exactly. It's shared pain, shared pleasure, shared moods. If Rye gets drunk, which he does, frequently Kell feels the buzz and the hangover. If Kell hurts his hand training, Rye winces in a council meeting.
There is no privacy, no solitude. Imagine never being truly alone in your own body. Imagine feeling someone else's anxiety creeping up your neck when you're just trying to sleep.
It's horrific when you think about it, and they are reacting to this trauma in completely opposite ways. Let's talk about Rye first, the dashing prince. To the public, he looks like he's having the time of his life. He is the absolute life of the party.
Rye's behavior is manic. He is terrifyingly alive. He is drinking, flirting, organizing this massive tournament, the Essentash. On the surface, it looks like he's just being the frivolous prince we knew.
But if you look closer, it's a desperate attempt to outrun the memory of dying. He was stabbed in the chest. He died. He is trying to prove loudly that he is still here.
He touches the scar on his chest constantly, like he's checking to see if it's still closed. It's a very real psychological response to trauma.
It's like he's trying to make enough noise to drown out the silence of the grave he almost fell into. And then you have Kell. Poor brooding Kell. He is the most powerful magician in the Empire, maybe the world, and he is miserable.
Kell is suffocating. He feels Rye's manic energy constantly through the bond. He describes it like a chain. And practically, he is kept on a short leash by the king and queen because he is now Rye's life support system.
If Kell wanders off and gets killed, the heir to the throne dies. So Kell, who used to be a traveler, a smuggler between worlds, is now grounded. He is a bird with clipped wings.
There is this heartbreaking moment at a dinner with the king and queen. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. The king basically treats Kell like a valuable piece of equipment that needs to be stored safely.
And Kell is just seething. He feels Rye's guilt, and Rye feels Kell's resentment. It's a brutal feedback loop of misery.
It raises a profound question about the nature of love and debt. Kell saved Rye out of love, but the cost was their individual freedom. They are stuck in this symbiotic purgatory.
Rye tries to fill the void with noise and people. Kell tries to retreat into silence, but the noise follows him through the bond. Neither can heal because they are constantly triggering each other.
And amidst all this personal drama, there is a looming threat that they are completely ignoring. We have to talk about White London.
Yes, the cinematic shift here is jarring. We leave the vibrant red river of the Maresh Empire and go to the dying world. Except, it isn't dying anymore.
That was creepy. The text describes White London as glooming. There are vines growing over the white stone. The sky has colors now, bruised purples and icy blues. But it feels wrong. It feels sickly.
It's a cancer. Think of it like a fungal bloom. It looks lush, but it's feeding on the decay. The magic that is restoring White London isn't natural. It's coming from Osseron, the shadow entity that was trapped in the black stone.
And we find out that Holland, the Antari we all thought was dead, is alive.
Holland, he survived being thrown into Black London. But, as always with Holland, survival is a trap. He made a deal.
He is such a tragic figure. He spent years enslaved by the Danes, tortured and controlled. He finally gets free, only to be dying. So Osseron offers him a deal. My power for your body, my magic for your will.
Holland accepts because he wants to save his city. He wants White London to live. But he has essentially sold his body to a demon king. He traded a physical cage for a spiritual one.
And we see the consequences of this new regime through a new character, Ochka.
Ochka is fascinating and terrifying. She is a Red Londoner originally, a street urchin and assassin, but Holland has made her into an Antari.
Wait, let's unpack that for a second. How do you make an Antari? The whole point of their rarity is that you have to be born one.
That's the natural law, but Osseron's magic breaks natural laws. Holland performs a ritual where he shares the power. Ochka ends up with one black eye and one yellow eye. But to test her loyalty, Holland does something horrific.
The collar scene. This gave me chills. Holland calls Ochka to the throne. She thinks she's being rewarded. He puts this silver collar around her neck, and instantly it strips her magic away.
It's a complete violation. The text describes it like losing a sense, like going blind or deaf. She falls to her knees, gasping. She feels hollowed out.
It perfectly illustrates the abusive nature of power in White London. In Red London, the bond between Kell and Rye is shared pain, but it's born of love. In White London, the bond is absolute control.
Holland gives her the magic back, but the threat is clear. I gave this to you, and I can take it away.
And Ochka is grateful. That's the twisted part. She thanks him. It shows how desperate people are for magic, for power, that they will accept absolute subjugation.
It's Stockholm Syndrome on a metaphysical level. And this sets the stage for the wider conflict. You have Red London preparing for a tournament, a celebration of controlled, sporting magic. And you have White London preparing for an invasion, fueled by wild, consuming magic.
Which brings us to the main event, the Essentash, the Element Games. This is the backdrop for the whole book. Magicians from three empires, Arns, Pharaoh, and Vesk gathering to beat the tar out of each other.
It is political theater at its finest. It's meant to strengthen ties between the empires, but really it's a way to flex military muscle without starting an actual war. It's the Olympics, but if the pole vault involved throwing fireballs at someone's head.
But for our characters, it's not about politics. It is deeply personal. And everyone is wearing a mask.
The theme of masks is both literal and metaphorical here. Let's start with Lila. She arrives in London with Alucard's crew. She finds out Alucard is entering the tournament. She wants in. But obviously she's not on the roster.
So she does the most Lila thing possible. She finds a competitor, a guy named Stajan Elsor, stalks him, knocks him unconscious, steals his armor, and assumes his identity. She enters the tournament as a man.
And Alucard knows. He figures it out pretty quickly, but he doesn't turn her in. He watches to see what she will do. But Lila isn't the only imposter. Kell is competing too.
This was a surprise. Kell is banned from competing because he's an Antari. It would be unfair. He's simply too powerful. But Rye, being the enabler that he is, helps Kell enter in disguise. Kell puts on a helmet and becomes Kamarov lost.
Think about the psychology here. Kell is the most famous magician in the city, but he feels invisible and trapped. He enters the tournament just to feel something, to be judged on his skill, not his station, to scream into the void.
He uses a specially prepared red sand, provided by Tyrion, the head priest, to focus his elemental magic without using the blood magic that would give him away.
So you have Lila disguised as Stajan, Kell disguised as Camarosh, and Alucard hiding his royal past. And Rai is playing the role of the carefree host while he's terrified inside. It is a massive masquerade.
And the magic combat itself is described so vividly. It's not just waving wands from a distance. Schwab describes it as intensely physical. The conversation of elements. We see fire bleeding into air, water turning to ice shields. It's visceral. You can feel the heat and the impact.
There's a scene where Lila is fighting a Pharaohan magician, Verzaz is. It's brutal. She's using mixed magic fire, Earth trying not to expose herself as a thief or a woman. She's exhausted, she's battered, but she's exhilarated. She feels alive.
Which brings us to the collision, the moment we were all waiting for. The reunion between Kell and Lila.
Yes, the masquerade ball is Gosar Noach, the banner night.
This is the high-impact moment. Lila sneaks in again, stolen invitation, stolen dress. Kell is there, sulking as usual, and they meet on the dance floor.
The tension is off the charts. Kell recognizes her. He has to. Even under the mask, he knows the way she moves. And they have this conversation while dancing that basically sums up the philosophical conflict of the entire book.
Lila says to him, "I think we do the best living when the stakes are high."
That line, it's the thesis statement. It sums up everything about her worldview.
It really is.
Yeah.
Kell argues for safety. He says she's crazy. He says he wants peace. But Lila challenges him. She tells him that he finally understands what it means to be alive because he almost died 4 months ago.
She says safety is not living, it's just making do. She is the catalyst. Kell has been trying to go back to how things were safe, static. Lila is telling him that you can't go back, you can only go forward into the danger.
She represents chaos. Kell represents order. And they are drawn to each other because they need what the other has. Kell needs her chaos to break his cage, and Lila needs his order to keep her from burning out.
But the reunion isn't all romance and philosophy. It gets messy. Kell realizes Lila is competing in the tournament. He confronts her. He tries to tell her to stop, that she'll get herself killed.
And Lila, true to form, refuses. She isn't looking for his permission. She isn't looking for his protection. She tells him, essentially, if you want to stop me, you'll have to arrest me.
I love that she steals a bead from the Pharaohan magician's mask as a souvenir during their fight.
Yeah.
She is incapable of not being a thief. Even in the middle of a magical duel, she's like, ooh, shiny.
It's compulsive, but it also speaks to her need to take things, to prove she was there, to prove she bested them. It's a trophy.
So we move to the final act, the unraveling. The tournament is reaching its climax. Lila is winning, surprisingly. She's using mixed magic fire, earth, wind. Tyrion, the head priest, figures out who she is.
Tyrion is such a great character. The calm in the storm, he knows she's Stajan Elsir. He confronts her, but he doesn't turn her in. He sees something in her, potential, or maybe just inevitable chaos that he decides to guide rather than stop. He is the weary grandfather of this dysfunctional family.
But while everyone is watching the games, the real threat arrives. Ojga.
The assassin from White London. She slips into Red London. And she isn't there to watch the sports. She is hunting.
The contrast is stark. You have the roar of the crowd, the fireworks, the spectacle of the Essentash, and then in the quiet of the palace gardens, you have Kell. He's trying to find a moment of peace, and Ojga finds him.
This confrontation is chilling. Kell sees her. He notices the black eye that bleeds into her hair. He knows instantly that this is wrong. This is Antari magic, but corrupted. It's like seeing a distortion in a mirror.
She delivers the message from Holland, or rather, from Oseram through Holland.
She tells him that her king needs him. She tries to frame it as an alliance, help to save our world. But Kell sees through it. He realizes that Holland has traded one master for another. He sees that this isn't a request for help, it's an ultimatum.
And the horror of it is that Ojga truly believes she is doing the right thing. She thinks she is the hero of her story. She thinks Holland is the savior.
That's what makes her dangerous. She isn't a villain twirling a mustache. She is a believer. And she attacks him, not to kill him, but to test him, to deliver the warning. The fight is brutal because it's not a sport. It's war.
The book ends on a massive cliffhanger. The war hasn't technically started yet, but the pieces are on the board. Kell knows Holland is coming. Lila has proven she can stand with the strongest magicians, but she's a wild card. Rai is still oblivious to the full extent of the danger.
And that brings us to the reflective takeaway, the cost of magic.
It seems like in every world, magic demands a price.
Exactly. In Red London, the cost is freedom. Kell and Rai are bound, their lives compromised for the sake of survival. In White London, the cost is humanity. Holland and Ochka have given up their agency, their very wills, to the Shadow King.
It goes back to that opening thought, surviving versus living. Holland is surviving, he is breathing, but he is a puppet. Lila is living. She is reckless, she is in danger, she might drown in that boat or die in the arena, but she is her own master.
And Kell is trapped in the middle. He's surviving, but he desperately wants to live. Lila is the force that pulls him toward life, even if it hurts.
The book suggests that balance isn't about staying still. Tyrion says magic must be balanced, but Lila proves that balance is dynamic. It's like riding a bicycle. If you stop moving, you fall. You have to keep correcting while in motion.
That's a brilliant way to put it. Kell tries to hold still and suffers. Lila runs and thrives.
So here's a final provocative thought for you to mull over. We've talked about the danger of stagnation and the necessity of risk. But consider this. If you build your entire existence around avoiding pain and ensuring absolute safety, are you actually preserving your life? Or are you just embalming yourself while you're still breathing?
Are you a person or just a beautifully preserved artifact in a museum?
A gathering of shadows doesn't give us the easy answers yet. It just shows us the true cost of both choices.
And if you want to see who ends up paying that price, you'll have to read the book. Because the tournament is over, but the game is just beginning.
That's it for this deep dive. Go read the book, seriously.
Until next time.
Stay curious.